welcome back to Send Them Off. This is our penultimate season preview. Al, we're nearly there. Can you
Good
believe,
word.
Can you
Good
believe
word.
this is number 19?
It's
Number
the thing,
19.
The thing is, like, this is taking us to, well, go on, do your thing quickly and then I'll talk. You got to do it.
Oh, well, you've heard him already. But I'm Sam, and joining me as always is my ever-present podcasting partner, Alex.
I can't unless you say that. But yeah, no, look, we've recorded these for the last 2 weeks. They're going out day by day, and it feels like a lifetime ago we started with City, doesn't it?
Honestly,
feels like a lifetime
I feel
ago.
like it was about a month and a half since we spoke to David from Blue Moon.
I feel like I've been in the jungle, honestly.
Yeah, literally.
But there we are.
So much has changed as well. Like, we spoke about Man City, and within a week's space, they've got Jack Grealish. Harry Kane wants to go there now. Well, we all knew that. And potentially now Lionel Messi might be going there because he's a
free agent, and that's all.
Leaving Barcelona. But we're not talking about Barcelona.
We're not talking about that today, are we?
We are talking about a team who play better football than Barcelona in my eyes. Last season, anyway, they did. I loved watching them. Became a bit of my second team.
Another one who's second team.
I literally said that on every episode. They really have. I have absolutely loved watching Leeds recently. And joining us is Leeds fan and from LS11 podcast, Lewis. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Hey boys, I'm good, thank you. Very, very much looking forward to this little preview.
Yeah, be good. Glad to have you on, mate.
Yeah, we were discussing before you came on, how I said last year that I think I got laughed at, I got ridiculed because before the season started, I said Leeds top 6, and everybody laughed at me. But I think you were only about 8 to 10 points off the top 6, right? Which for me, I was very, very happy with that prediction. Finished 9th in the end, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, we finished 9th, and we had a strong finish as well. There was at sort of early stage of the season, there was a lot of crazy results involving Leeds. The 4-3 loss against Liverpool, the first game of the season. We lost 6-2 to Man United at Old Trafford. We beat Fulham 4-3 in our second game. It calmed down towards the end of the season. We started to sort of learn from our mistakes a little bit defensively and realised that although it is entertaining to be gung-ho and playing the Bielsa ball, as we call it, you can't do it for every game. We sort of got found out a little bit in the end.
Yeah. I suppose my second question leading on from that, impressive season last year. Last time we saw a newly promoted side do that, obviously the season after, Sheffield United got pummeled, for want of a better word.
They got taught a new one, didn't they?
Yeah, I suppose what I'm asking you is second season syndrome. Are you concerned?
We LS11 did our midweek podcast earlier on this evening, and we were talking about that, and we're actually hearing that phrase a little bit. We've not had the best pre-season results-wise so far. And yeah, a few fans are saying second season syndrome. I mean, I'm going to get sick of it personally. I don't think you can really label that, certainly not in pre-season. But time will tell. I mean, I guess a lot of fans are going to be saying that until we reach 40 points. For me, 9th probably exceeded expectations to even the most optimistic Leeds fan. I'd be happy with 13th, 14th this year. We need to, again, build onto next season and stay in the division. It's really important. You look at Sheffield United's squad when they went down, there was no real excuse off the back of the season they had. They spent money. I mean, what did they spend 24 million on Rhian Brewster? The guy barely played. I'd like to think we have enough quality for that to not be a narrative at all this season. So it would be good playing Manchester United early doors in our first game at Old Trafford to maybe set the tone with even a point really from that game, and maybe even a win, which is not completely unlikely. Bearing in mind we beat Man City last season. So yeah, I'd like to nip that sort of narrative in the bud early if we can, ideally.
Yeah, I'm not going to... Sorry, I'll go on.
No, I was going to say, before you came on, me and Sam were chatting, and Sam wasn't sure about the second season syndrome, and I was saying that I don't think personally it's suffering, and the reason that I think that is because that the way Leeds play football and the way, because we've said it all season. We had one of our best mates on actually as our first guest, and on a segment we do, and we asked him what his guilty pleasure is, and because in the Championship, Leeds were one of them teams. Everybody was a bit sort of iffy about. He said Leeds, and he said the reason was because the way they play football and the way they go at teams and the way they'll never sort of lie down. It doesn't matter how many goals down you were. You'll go out and you'll still try and nab one, nab two, and see how far you go. So I don't think you will suffer because of the mentality of the team. I don't think the second season is the problem.
Yeah. And it wasn't, I didn't even think about that really. We are polar opposites to Sheffield United in terms of the football philosophy. I think Chris Wilder was there an awful long time. I think things went a bit stale. I don't think Bielsa is the sort of coach where he'd let things go stale. He's not. He's adaptable. He's all about developing players. He's all about having youngsters fit enough to run for 90 minutes plus non-stop. His philosophy is entirely different. So, yeah, I agree with you. You can't say we're the same side. I don't think you can say Leeds are going to do a Sheffield United. Leeds will do a Leeds if they're going to do a Leeds, which is...
It's even worse, is it?
Doing a Leeds is... like a classic phrase that we'll say, and it will be things like when we were in the Championship. So we've got QPR. We're in the hunt for promotion. This is going to be the season. We've got Steve McLaren's QPR at Loftus Road. They've not won in 7 games. So doing a Leeds is going to there and losing 1-0 again.
It's funny you say that because I was going to say all he's done is mispronouncing. He said that's doing a Swansea, but they say, with the Swans, don't worry, we got Swansea next week. It doesn't matter how many you've lost,
and we'll play them at home.
Yeah,
than at Loftus Road. We'll lose at home.
Really.
Always. I suppose interestingly though, going back to Sheffield United, you said their squad, there's no excuses for it. I'm looking at your squad now, and I think your squad is far, far better than that Sheffield United squad last season for me, man for man. I think you've got a lot more quality there, and players like Rafinha, Bamford, Rodrigo even fairly impressed me a little bit last year. It wasn't brilliant, but he did a job, didn't he? Junior Firpo as well is apparently a superb player you've brought in. So I think things are looking up. I don't expect you to go down. I don't necessarily expect you to finish 9th again, but like you said, I think it was overachieving. You never know. Interesting. You got beaten by Ajax yesterday, didn't you? Was it yesterday, the day before? It was 4-0.
We fielded 2 sort of the second game was definitely a first team squad. The others was a mix of under 23s, and we lost comfortably both games to Ajax yesterday.
Comfortably.
Yeah, we were humbled, but Ajax, they're a decent side. A couple of seasons ago, they were 1 minute away from a Champions League final.
Sure.
Last season, Europa League quarterfinalists. Winning the league. They're a good side, and I am a dramatic Leeds fan, as we all are, but I don't get dramatic in pre-season. It's all about minutes and getting players fit. And I agree with what you say about your man for man. Junior Firpo injured already. Hopefully it's not serious.
Is he really?
Wow. But we're excited about him. Rodrigo is a classic 9 playing in midfield, and it doesn't suit him. Many will disagree, but he's a 9 for me. He's a clinical finisher. He's a good striker, and Bielsa's trying to get him playing in the 10 role, which personally I don't think suits him as well. But then again, Bamford's one of the first players on the team sheet for us. So we probably, unless he's injured, we won't see Rodrigo playing in his best position.
Yeah. I suppose the question I wanted to ask, I didn't watch the game against Ajax, but did Calvin Phillips play?
Yes, he did, but he played in the earlier game. He didn't play in the main first team game, mostly because he's only been with the squad about 10 days because obviously he was in the England squad and then he had his holiday. So there's potential for him not even making the first game. I hope not, because he is brilliant and he's
quality.
And I'm glad everybody has now been able to see what he's capable of. I'm not sure you boys would. If you're pure football fans, I don't know if you wanted England to do well in the Euros or not as Welsh lads. But
no comment.
But there you go. But as a football fan, I'm sure you can appreciate what he does now. And it's not a glamorous position where he plays, but the guy is everywhere, and he is an absolute nightmare to play against. And Bielsa has made that of him. There was years gone by where Phillips was, not even on the bench for Leeds. So it's a proper love story, local lad, and he's absolutely brilliant. And I think much like what Villa have experienced today, there will be a time where he goes for big money to another club and he won't be able to turn it down. Hopefully that's not for a couple of seasons, but let's see.
Who knows? I have a feeling he's in for a big season this year.
I think so too. After seeing him, like you said, he wasn't starting. There was a time when he wasn't starting for Leeds. He goes in that England team, and him and Declan Rice just tore up. They were in charge. Doesn't matter what game it be, and whether we wanted England to win or not, you can't not appreciate that. No, you really can't.
I think one thing I'm really interested about this year is seeing how Patrick Bamford does. Because we mentioned, I know you said you're going to get sick of it, but second season syndrome even. Forget the team. I'm interested in Bamford. 17 goals last year, which for that return for like a newly promoted striker, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he came into the league and I was a bit like, Bamford, we'll see. He was all right in the championship, wasn't he? He was all right. I thought technically wasn't brilliant, but last season completely changed my mind. He was outstanding. Was straight in my fantasy team after about week 4.
Yeah, same.
I once again put him in a bit too late and didn't benefit, but that's the story of my life with fantasy. So,
well, I mean, by all accounts, if VAR wasn't so ridiculous, he'd have probably had 19, 20 goals, which is obviously a completely different milestone. He does miss a lot of chances, Bamford. He did silence his critics, scoring as many goals as he did. Can he do it with the whole of Old Trafford on his back, the whole of Anfield on his back? Fans is a very, very different scenario this season, fans being back. I think as well, because it was such a weird Premier League season, Leeds fans notoriously can get on the players' backs and it can be a very toxic place at Ellen Road if things aren't going our way. It'll be interesting to see how he deals with that, but I think Leeds finish mid-table if Bamford scores the same goals again. But yeah, he does still miss a lot of chances. And there are a lot of people, like I said before, calling for Rodrigo to start at 9 because he finishes his chances a lot better. The one time he took Bamford off on 60 minutes against Burnley. We won 4-0 and Rodrigo scored 2 goals in about 10 minutes of coming on. I know it's only Burnley, but traditionally they are a fairly hard team to break down normally, but not on that occasion. So yeah, I mean Bamford is another one to watch, but mentally having fans and full stadiums again is a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, but I suppose it's what you just said though about like players like Rodrigo. It's not necessarily the end of the world if Bamford doesn't get 17 again this season, because we spoke to Burnley last night. We spoke to a Burnley fan and we highlighted Chris Wood for them. I think he had 12 goals last season and the whole team scored 3. Whereas like Bamford scored 17, as a team, you scored 62. So the goals are coming from everywhere. I know he scored like the most, he's the top scorer, but personally, I wouldn't worry if he hits like 10 or 12.
Well, even like you said earlier, you've got even if it's not Rodrigo, you've got Rafinha to chuck in there if you really wanted to, like you said. Yeah, exactly. And I think
Dallas chips in with a few as well.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not in the min as well, but players like that, your team's obviously got the quality. I was going to say earlier that this team is a comfortable Premier League team. I said, I got no problem saying that they're going to stay up, but seeing players like that and that Marcelo Bielsa wants to try and shoehorn into the team almost. It goes to show that there's too much quality like to leave on the bench, and there's too many goals in this team to like go without.
Yeah, Jack Harrison as well.
Yeah, absolutely
gets plenty of goals and normally screamers as well, which is good. There is goals in the team. We're not going to have the luxury of Dallas as a defender in Fantasy Premier League this year, but he will be starting as a midfielder. But
few extra defensive clean sheets then.
Yeah, exactly.
Tidy.
But he gets into plenty of positions, and he is obviously one of the Bielsa old boys, if you like. Has done the full seasons with Bielsa, and there probably isn't a man who's developed the most other than Dallas. Dallas is probably top of the pile. He's, you know, by all accounts, before Bielsa came along, you know, a run-of-the-mill average midfielder who has probably had, you know, I don't want to put an outrageous label on it, but I'd say another 7-8 million on his price tag, which is nothing to be sniffed at, considering we got him from Brentford for about, you know, 1.3 million or something like that. He wasn't supposed to set the world alight, but he's made a start doing that.
Yeah, for sure. He impressed me last year. That's the thing. Al, you said this is a comfortable Premier League side. I felt the season you went up, you were a comfortable Premier League side. Like, you had the likes of like Pablo Hernandez in there, obviously one of our old boys. Even like Bamford, like Phillips was playing for you. This squad hasn't actually changed that much since you went up. Like, obviously you got Junior Firpo in, Robin Koch. Oh, I know Alex absolutely loves.
What a fantastic name.
Diego Llorente as well came in, but I think the bare bones of your team are the same as when they came up. And that season you were quality, and again last season the same. And it was those players. It wasn't necessarily the new players who massively set the world alight last year. It was the boys who'd taken you up.
That was the most pleasing thing about some of our victories, when we were ending games and beating established Premier League opponents with essentially what was our championship team on the pitch. It says a lot about Bielsa. It says a lot about the player development that happened and that is happening all of the time. That it was amazing seeing that championship team winning games in the Premier League, and a lot of that, obviously, with Pablo going, Alioski, and a few others. That team has been broken up largely now, and obviously, you know, the new boys like Robin Koch and Diego Llorente, they're integrating gradually into the squad now, and we are starting to look like a different outfit. But yeah, I was going to ask you boys about that season we got promoted, because you boys were obviously up there as well in that. I mean, it was a horrendous game to watch, the Leeds Swansea game, which is actually will probably be a lot. That was the moment we sort of realised or felt like it was basically done, that we were going up.
That Pablo goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which, I mean, it was a horrendous game to watch. It was very, very tense, and you know, you had a few players playing in that. I mean, Andre Ayew, and I think it was Gallagher. And you had some serious players that were just absolute nuisances all day. But yeah, that's like a monumental moment for Leeds now, and the commentary was quite legendary on Leeds United TV. How did you boys feel? Did you feel like that was like the end at that time?
I think every other team other than Leeds. I mean, obviously doing a Leeds, like you said, I feel like it was a done deal weeks before that for me. That whole season, he was just like, I remember it was really early on that we beat you in that season.
Well, I was going to say,
when Routledge scored last minute,
that was one of the highlights of my season, just going up to Ellen and pinching a goal last, because I remember seeing videos from the crowd. I don't know if you remember it, Sam, but they were circulating on Twitter. The crowd were going ballistic. Honestly, it was incredible, and I think that goes to show how we saw, like, how the rest of the championship saw Leeds that season. And I disagree with one thing you said. You were talking before, and I disagree with one thing you were saying. It was nice to see us win with the championship side, and I think what you had in the championship, rather than having a championship side in the Premier League, you had a Premier League side in the championship. That's what I thought.
I agree,
because there was too much quality in there to call out a championship side.
I agree, but we were in the championship for so long. We were a championship side, regardless of the players and the talent we did attract. There is no guarantees in the championship, as you know, that you're going to go up. We were in the league for so long. We came so close. I mean, losing to Derby in the semi-finals, I've never been so gutted in all my life when it's written in the stars for it to happen, which is why many people were so thrilled with the Swansea result. And then we had a horrendous game against Barnsley after. It was like we couldn't even believe it was happening. We were waiting for something to go wrong. So yeah, I see what you're saying. We did have a good squad, and yes, that squad won the league by 10 points in the end, and it should have won the league by 10 points. But like I say, no guarantees of it happening. You know, you go to Luton Town one week and lose 1-0. It's a mental league. Yeah, it's crazy. And the only team that seemed to be able to get out of it on a regular basis is Norwich.
Norwich and West Brom. Those only two that go up and down, like, you know, but
who will also be back in the Championship probably next season.
Ooh, big call.
Chris won't like that one. Chris won't like that.
Chris, we spoke to a Norwich fan yesterday, and he thinks they're staying up. And
Do you believe him?
Potentially, I think they really could.
This season, I think they could. I think so.
But I mean, I've
We'll
not
see.
looked. Have they made signings yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've made some serious business.
Because they sold Buendia, didn't they? He was obviously one of their better players.
He went to Villa.
Yeah, they made a couple
They
of
made
good
a
signings.
few good ones.
Interestingly, though, in terms of signings, you've only made two, I think, so far. Junior Firpo and a young goalkeeper whose name escapes me. Do you think there's more to be done? If so, where?
So, allegedly, we are looking at Lewis O'Brien from Huddersfield. And obviously, our ex-assistant coach and under-23s coach, Carlos Corberán, is the manager there. So there looks to be some sort of deal being done there for him. That will probably be the only other first-team signing. But much like as everybody, or a lot of teams do now, follow the sort of Bielsa philosophy of integrating young players from the under-23s. We've made a lot of under-23 signings. We've got a few players that have had a couple of seasons in the under-23s who are sort of breaking into the first team. We signed a guy called Lewis Bate from Chelsea, who was highly thought of. A lot of big clubs were in for him. And Leeds won our league under-23s development league last year. So we'll be in the sort of top flight of that standard next season, which means they'll be playing obviously against the top opposition, second teams, if you like. So that's what Bielsa does, really. He goes, what young lads have we got in the under-23s who are good enough for me to coach and get them gradually integrated? I mean, who knew about Pascal Struijk last year? He you know, very Mikael Richardsy, but he burst onto the scene if defenders do that, and he was great, and no one knew about him, and he is an exciting talent. There's going to be a couple of players to look out for. Crescencio Somerville, Sam Greenwood from Arsenal, who we got from Arsenal, Joe Geldhart, who we got really cheap from Wigan because they needed the money, Cody Drama, who we got from Fulham. So these are the names that are looking to break into the squad that you'll probably see at some point with injuries and various other things.
Interestingly, on that point then, just before we finish,
the obligatory last two questions. Yeah,
it's got to be done, innit? It's got to be done. You know the drill by now, Al. So we finished 9th last year. Where do you think you'll finish this year?
Realistically, I think we'll finish in that sort of mini mid-table league where there's not a lot of points in it, where there'll be sort of 12th or 13th. I think if we get above, if we get where we did or above where we did last season, I think there's going to have to be 5 or 6 huge results against top 6 sides, which is where we struggled last season. So I'm going to go for 12th.
I think 12th is
that's reasonable, very reasonable.
Respectable. And then just before we finish, can you pick? Should we start again?
First cock up you had in this all 18. Fair play.
No, not bad, is it? Can you give us your player to watch?
Tough one. Yeah, I'm going to go with Rodrigo because the guy's had COVID. He's not been fit for a lot of last season. And I think he's got a lot more to offer. You know, we paid a record club signing, 27 million for him. He's got a lot more to show, a lot more to prove. And I think this is the season where he needs to do it, whether that be his performances around the pitch, goals, assists. I think it's more likely to be his performances and assists if he's going to be playing at number 10. But yeah, Rodrigo is going to be the player to watch because I think everybody's seen what Rafinha is capable of already. I think also he'll have a big season, but player to watch, Rodrigo.
There we go.
Hear it first. Big season for Rodrigo. Big season for Leeds as well. I'm putting it out there. Big season for Leeds. Why not? Innit?
Why not?
Let's manifest it. Lou, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting Leeds tonight. I really hope I enjoy watching you guys as much as I did last year.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah. Would you like to take a couple of moments just to plug the podcast, tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, so LS11, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So our tagline is for the fans, by the fans. So yeah, our main podcast is out on Wednesdays, which will be with Ryan from the Pigeon Detectives, Darren Harper.
Cracking band, by the way.
Correct. Ben Parker, ex-Leeds player, also on the pod. That'll be out Wednesday mornings. And then myself, Aaron, Alfie, and George will all be on Any News LS11 every single Thursday on a live stream. And plenty going on. And it'll be good to be doing some content again live outside Ellen Road and in the Peacock and in pubs and things like that. So yeah, plenty of exciting moments to come hopefully this season.
Lovely stuff. Look forward
We
to
like
it.
to see it. We love to see it.
Yeah. Best of luck this season as well. And
thanks very much. Cheers for having me on, boys.
No worries.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Really enjoyed.
Appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow for our final.
The last one.
Final.
Hey. That's the final
preview.
stretches, yeah.
It's Watford. I can actually tell you who it is today because I know
with
it's the only one we've got
absolute certainty.
I'll see you then.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you, mate.
You guys
really
for
enjoyed.
listening. Hope you've enjoyed. Have a good weekend or a good week or whatever. I don't know when this is going out. So just enjoy your night. Enjoy yourself. And we'll see you next time. Ta-ra.
Take care.